to get started because there's a lot of content to share, and I'm hoping some people will come on that I want to talk to, to kind of give us a light of what we're talking about. Our topic today is how to build wealth in real estate. And of course, you have the how and you have the why, right? So we're going to talk about why do we do it first. And hopefully we have an expert on the line that's going to help us with how we can get to do it. So the subject matter, it comes from a lot of our discussion today is going to be about the millionaire real estate investor. It's funny, they never say thousandaire real estate investor. It's always a billionaire real estate investor, right? Because that's how you want to build your life to become a millionaire, right? Okay, so let's get started. As people come in, I know we have some people on Facebook Live that's not on Zoom, but that's cool. Right. Okay. That's by Keller Williams. Okay, so our team today is going to be mostly myself and Mr. Fernando. Fernando is with the CMG Home Loans. So Fernando, just give us a little light about you and of course, what you do.
Hey guys, Fernando Diaz here. Yeah, I'm also a real estate investor myself, and I've owned real estate now for approximately, I don't know, 26 years or so, 27 years. Yeah, and obviously specialize in residential home loans, for primary use in second home and investment. But yeah, and I've been in the business, I think 28 years now. This is the only thing I've done since the day I graduated college.
Awesome.
That's pretty much it.
All right. So why are we here today? What has caused to start thinking about investing in real estate? And why am I here? Our presentation is drawn largely from this millionaire real estate investor. And let's talk about that. Because if you're here today, it's because you are thinking, okay, you need to grow your wealth. You need to build something up. And how do you do that? Okay, I literally just got a call about an hour ago from a lady. It's like, hey, how do I get to that next level? I got one home. How do I move on to the next one? I said, come on the seminar. So my thing here is to share my thoughts on money, life, and investing in real estate. It's going to be a combination of that as we have the conversation going on. It's going to be built up on that. I do want to tell you, if you stay to the end, of course, not for the speakers, but for the audience to stay to the end, either on Facebook Live, on Zoom, we're going to have a drawing. I'm really excited, to get somebody to Carolina Island. It's summertime, so it's a great time to go to the island and have a good time. So let's stay to the end so you get a chance to get that drawing. Okay. All right. So what we cover in the workshop is really about three things: possibilities, the power of leverage, and proven systems. The possibilities are what we can think of, what's possible for us, right? And then we understand the power of leverage, meaning, you get a home and what that home can do for you. Of course, I understand with my audience, it's mostly a lot of people that are doing it for the first time. But I want you to think beyond the first time and see, what that can do, how you can leverage yourself through this opportunity. And then we're going to share with you proven systems, what people that have done it well, how they have done it. So that way you have a pattern to go through. And then we're going to, a lot of Q&A will come at the end to find out, because everybody's position is different, right? But what does it take for you to get to that next level, to that next level, to that next level? We'll talk about that, especially when it comes to finance and real estate. Okay. Possibilities. the unearned income to finance your life mission without having to work. That's what real estate can create for you. Do you want to comment on that, Fernando?
Yeah, I mean, I know some people. Obviously, my best friend, he started buying real estate young, kind of like I did, and he truly doesn't work anymore. I mean, he works when when somebody needs a helping hand or something, where and what he specializes in, he'll help them out. But the reality is, he found these methods and all this stuff. The Millionaire Next Door, Rich Dad Poor Dad. He read all that stuff, and he was able to retire when he was 38 years old. In terms of not having to work, yeah, of course he wants to work. He's got to keep mentally doing something. But if he stopped tomorrow, would he be fine? Yes. He doesn't have to do anything, and it's all because of real estate.
Nice. That's really grand right there. So let's talk about the 8 myth understanding between you and financial wealth. These are the things that hold us back from not believing that some things are possible. I was just talking to a young lady yesterday, and we're talking about, I don't do this because my parents taught me to not do this. And I'm like, that's understandable. We all come from a background, our parents, our uncles, aunties, even our friends, or the people we go to school with. People around us, they've given us ideas on how to be, right? And sometimes those things are good, but sometimes you grow past those things and that you have to learn something different. So your hands have to be open to know that, okay, I'm getting this new information. It's going to help me better myself. So that's what we're going to discover. So we're just going to go through the myth understanding between you and financial wealth. So Fernando, if you don't mind, you just read the first one and I just make do the response.
Sure.
First 3 personal myths. Okay.
I don't need to be an investor. My job will take care of my financial wealth.
Okay. And yes, you do need to be an investor. Your job is not your financial wealth. Your job is a place of making money. How you make that money, what you do with it, is entirely up to you. That's why you can have 2 people making the same money and they have completely different lifestyle. So your job is not that, but it's a place for you to make the money, and then what you do with that is on you. Second myth.
I don't need or want to be financially wealthy. I'm happy with what I have.
Okay. You got to think through about that for a second. The truth is, we just need to open our eyes. You do need and want to be financially wealthy. Who does not want that, right? Again, these are the things we have to dissociate from our background and what we've been taught, because your parents could have told you that, hey, you don't need to be greedy, like those people that are millionaires. You just need to have your job and do well. But we have to open our eyes to see it and see possibilities around us. Third myth.
Doesn't matter if I want or need it. I just can't do it.
Again, we can't predict what we can or can't do until we try. We have to at least get into the grind of it and find out. Sometimes I personally, I don't like cutting grass. I don't like, doing gardening and stuff. But once I get into it, every now and a while, like, oh my God, I'm sweeping through this thing easily. So it's until you try that thing, you don't know you can do it. So especially, this is something that's a lifestyle. It's a lifestyle. If you try it and you get better at it, you will be. It's amazing what kind of lifestyle you can have for yourself and your family. All right, so now we're going to talk about the investing myths. Those are the first 3 were the personal myths that hold us back. Now, we're going to talk about this is what allows us to grow or not to grow, because the myth is if it's a limiting factor. If we limit ourselves from accomplishing it, we'll stay there. But if we endeavor to move ourselves forward, then we can get there. First myth.
Investing is complicated.
It's only as complicated as you make it. If you get into it, any form of investing. Now, we're going to be talking mostly about real estate here, but we're also going to share with you other forms of investing. And I think all of the forms are good. It's just getting into it. And if you get into it and simplify it, it's not as complicated as we make it to be.
The best investments require knowledge most people don't have.
The truth is, your best investment will always be in areas you can or already understand. I don't know if this is a good forum to bring this. I remember I had a client that they do this personal savings together with a group of friends, and they cash out every 3 months from each person. It's a form of investment. They put money on the side, boom, all of a sudden they cash out, $5,000 to $10,000. Anything you do is just opening your eyes to do it more, right? So let's go to the third one because we have a lot of
investing is risky. I'll lose my money.
Investing, by definition, is not risky. Yes, you can lose some money because that's what investment is, right? However, if you look at the tangible ones, you know what you are going to draw, out of it, at least the expectation out of it. Okay.
Successful investors are able to time the market.
The truth is, in successful investing, the timing finds you. You are the one that controls the timing. And how do you do that? You do that with your activities, what you can put your hands into that allows you to become better.
All the good investments are taken.
The truth is, every market has a share of good investments. There's always room somewhere. Now, can we be smarter? Yes. And we're going to talk about that, how one can be smart in today's world of real estate. It's so funny. Everybody talk about, oh, the rate is so much higher today. I'm like, the rate is great today, like it's always been. We just had a few years of really super low rate that we forget that this is even below the norm. The norm was 6.5% to 7%. When I bought my first house, it was 8.3%. So it's not. This is actually great. It's just getting used to it and knowing and finding opportunities for yourself. Okay. So the possibilities again. I'm just going to give you some stats from the National Association of Realtors. And they say 17% of all 1 to 4 unit home purchased in 2010 involved an investment as a buyer, an investor as a buyer. So 17% of the 100%, it was somebody buying their second or third home, okay? And 68% of all investors buy within 50 miles of their primary residence. And I think that's a fact that goes to that. You don't want to buy too far off. And at this point, I'm not opposed to that, because if you get a good deal somewhere, you get a good deal, you go after it. So the average sales price, I think this was going back to 2010, was like $96,000. And 63% was single family homes that was purchased. Okay. So LA County statistics. This is, we all, most of us are in LA County. There are some people that are in the Inland Empire. So just to look at number of absentee-owned condos is 95,000, almost 96,000, meaning the seller, the owner doesn't live there, they rent it out. And number of absentee-owned condos purchased in 2020 was 4,353. So this is telling you 4,353 people bought homes that they don't live in, that they're just gonna rent out, okay? And this is condos. Now, you look at single family homes, number of absentee owned single family home is almost 198,000, right? And the ones that were purchased in 2020 was 11,000 in applause. And when you go to 2 to 4 units, it's about 92,000. Of course, it's not as much 2 to 4 units as there are condos and single family homes, right? And the ones that were purchased was almost 2,600 in 2020. So this is opening ideas that people are doing this in droves of people, right? So let's talk about the big why. Why do we do this? You know, we're gonna talk about how to do it later on, but let's start with the why, okay? So this number one is a big goal, specific measure targets that fulfill your big why. And then we're gonna talk about models. Models are proven systems and strategies for reaching your goal. And everybody's goal is gonna be different, okay? And we'll talk about that in a little bit. And then the habits, the consistent action and right choices that come from following models, following what has been done and done right. You got to avoid going from here to there, here to there, to there. Stay consistent in what you know that's worked for you. You know, I know someone that first bought a bunch of income properties, and they just have issues with you know, maintaining them and dealing with the tenants and stuff like that. And then sold all those income property and went and bought single family property and was at ease, you know, able to just swift through. Other hand, you have other people that initially buy single family homes or condos, and then they say, no, I want to buy, I want to be at peace. If a tenant is not paying their rent, I have more people to cover. Okay, so you go into 4 units and you buy a bunch of 4 units. It's just knowing what works well for you and staying with it. You know, some people are like, no, I just want to buy condos. I buy condos, association take care of everything. I just got to worry about the inside unit, and it works well. You know, so it's just knowing what feels well for you, and you stay in there. Everybody cannot be a point guard. You know, you're gonna have somebody that's gonna be a center, a forward, you know, a point, you know, a shooting guard, whatever. Okay. Power of leverage. Unique propositions of investing in real estate in contrast to stocks, mutual funds, and money markets. Okay, so a real property is an able investment. Its value never goes to zero, right? You purchase a real property, it can also be leveraged. Can you talk about that a little bit, Fernando?
Hey guys, as you guys know, for example, that SVB debacle that happened with the bank in Silicon Valley, you know, that had a stock price of, you know, $200-300 a share, and it basically went to zero. So people that invest in stocks and stuff like that, they know that potentially something like that can happen, but real estate truly never goes to zero. It retains value in some form or the other. Now it can swing up and down, but it still retains value. You know, and also, yeah, like Gary said, number 2 here, you know, it can be leveraged. You can withdraw money, refinance it to buy another one, for example, which, you know, it's hard to do with stocks or mutual funds, things like that. They really can't be re-leveraged.
Awesome. Okay. So it's the most able investment. It's accessible. Anyone can buy it. Appreciable, increases value over time. It's rentable, you know, cash flow. You can make money in more than one way. And then it's improvable. You buy a property, people that bought properties 2 years ago, they probably, you know, depending on where you are, probably enjoying anywhere from 50 to 150, sometimes even $200,000 in equity in a couple of years, right? And then it's the deductible, which is great. I know people that's like, hey, Gary, I paid off all my property. I need to buy another one because I need to have something I can withdraw from my income. And they just go buy, like, I don't care. You know, if I'm paying $6,000, I'm renting for $4,000, that's fine. I need to claim something. And they'll do that because they see the value of that in deductible and write deductible, not writing business that you don't do as your deductible. And it's stable, slow to rise and slow to fall. Well, I don't know about that right now. It's more like fast to rise and slow to fall. And it's a livable thing. You know, somebody is going to be living in there. You're going to be a blessing to somebody. You just got to put a property out for rent and you see 10 applications come. So there are people that need a place to stay and you're providing that. Okay. So let's take a look at this. This gives us a clear understanding of what leverage is with real estate, right? So you look at stocks, mutual funds, money market, all of those, you got to put the money into them, right? You got to put the money into them to get something out of them. So you may get a good return, you may get an average return, a big return. Well, but you got to put all that money in to get the return. If you put $10,000 in, you're getting that return off of that $10,000. Well, for real estate, if you need $1 million property, guess what? You don't have to come up with $1 million. You can come up with $200,000. Hell, sometimes you can come up with, you know, $50,000, and you get into that $1 million property, and you still get to build wealth with it, and it still grows. And I can guarantee you, for most of these other ways, it's still growing faster than they are. Now it's slower to growing, but if you look at the end of the year, it would have grown some more. Any input on this graph, Fernando?
Hang on, I ran over there real quick. Well, I mean, the biggest thing that I see here with the graph and all your figures is, you know, one of the things about stocks and or properties, I think that over the long haul is the biggest thing, is the appreciation factor that doesn't really totally always get brought in, you know, in terms of the main focus. Everybody's more focused typically on the debts, but the appreciation piece is huge. And not to mention the value of write-offs and what you can do against your taxes to help protect it too. So there's two sides of the coin on these things.
Absolutely. Thank you. So leverage is using other people's money, banks, mortgage companies, and owner financiers to make money. Leverage multiplies your profit, right? Appreciation and rent are based on total value of property. Return on investments calculated by money invested, 20% or 200,000 on a $1 million property. Okay, so let's move on. So if you all take a look at this map, again, if you look at the bottom part, you are working for this money. You know, you put your capital, you know, you have a cash flow, you put your cash and then you're using it. And the other part is the money is working for you, it's growing capital, it's creating more cash flow, and you're having more income to come through it. Let's look at this other one. Okay. So this is saying when you buy a property, all right, whatever you buy, whatever you put down is the equity you put into it, all right? And then you have this massive debt in the beginning, right? And then you pay it down and eventually pays it off. So look at your debt start going down, your equity start growing, right? And it goes up, and at one point you have no debt and all you have is equity. This is how people build wealth through real estate. Again, even your first house is like this, right? You have a lot of debt, and the money you put into it is your initial equity. Sometimes, I mean, I just had to buy an escrow that the property, you know, we priced it well, we thought, and we got a higher offer. And then when it went to appraisal even appraised it for more than the buyer got an escrow for, right? That means immediate wealth that the buyer is capitalizing on. And then that keep growing and keep growing, right? Now, when it comes to investment, right? Again, you have your debt, you have, you know, very little cash flow, and then you have the vacancy and expenses that you're dealing with. and your cash flow begin to grow, your debt begin to go down, and then you have, you're still always going to have your vacancy and expense, right? But your cash flow just, at one point, your debt completely wipes away, and all you're dealing with is, expense of maintaining the property and building wealth for you and your family. Okay. So why do people invest in real estate? It's return on investment. It's less out of pocket for money into pocket. I mean, yeah, you can buy a property cash, if you want to. And if you do that, you're just going to have massive income coming off of it. But you don't have to. You can put, 5% down, 10% down, even on that second property. And we're going to talk about that, about how one can do that in today's world, because buying as an investment is a little more costly right now. But even so, that's still not the end of the world. You grow your worth, your net worth through equity, right? It's not cash you're taking in the pocket, but just to let you know, 20%. I mean, what am I saying? 20? Almost 90% of American millionaires are people that grow wealth through equity. They don't have the cash at hand, but they have wealth with the equity from their homes, right? So you got all the other benefits that comes with that. Just make sure I'm still okay, because we have a lot of Q&A to do it. Tax write-off. Fernando, maybe you can make comments about what you can get when you own a home.
Well, you've got your standard mortgage and tax deduction that you can take up to $10,000 of it for your primary home. But on the investment side, that's where you really get more of a pickup, because you can write off, well, there's depreciation, the mortgage interest, the taxes, the insurance, all maintenance and repairs that come up. All of that gets calculated into the equation to protect you, which you don't get all those write-offs when it comes to your primary home. So it is an additional tool to use, once you're able to buy an investment property.
And this is why people look for investment property. And if I remember, if they're writing off stuff off of their home, that is not count against their income in qualifying, correct?
I didn't hear that. The phone rang. What was that? You said, what doesn't count against the income? The phone just
yeah, I know. It's just good. So now I'm saying, if they write this off, if they write all this stuff off against their income, it doesn't count down. You know how in qualifying for purchase in the future, this is more like a legitimate write-off as opposed to when you write business off.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
I mean, it takes a lot you have to do a lot of creative tax write-offs to really damage yourself when it comes to the investment side of it, because depreciation also helps protect against that. So yeah, you typically don't see a lot of damage in terms of requalifying for another property.
Yep. So just wanted to talk a little bit about myself, because I feel my way forward in my life too. And the reason I share this is for people to not think if you fail in the beginning is the end of the line. Because I remember back in the day when I first started investing, and a few friends of mine were doing it, and we all kind of crashed at one point, and a lot of people didn't want to get up from that crash. Like, no, I don't want to do real estate anymore now. So I started my first investment in 2006, bought a 2-acre land at 670,000 in Riverside, with an intention of building 3 to 10 parcels off of it. Well, things happened in my life that caused me to lose that property. In 2009, when my daughter was going to college, I bought a house. I should say, we bought a house for her to live in, and we actually stumbled our way into investing. So I became more purposeful when I came across this book, which I started reading about real estate. So I started purchasing again, one property after another, reaching to a total of 7, actually 8 now, cash flowing in with a minimum of $500 to $1,000 per unit, right? just to put that story up. Let's go to proven systems, right? This is telling you about the 4 different ways you can choose to go. And I don't believe any one of this is right or wrong. It's just you're gonna find out who you are, what's comfortable for you, right? Condominium is 1 unit, single family, 1 unit. A duplex, which should be 2 units, and a 4plex. Of course, there's a triplex in there. So between 2 and 4 are the units, right? And if we decide you want to buy a condominium, it's usually lower purchase price, than at least less money you need to put into it, because part of a condominium qualifying is the HOA, but you're not putting money down to that HOA, you're only putting money down to the property itself. A lot of outside maintenance is included for you, more amenities for people that live in there. The cons is you have HOA fees to deal with, which cuts down on your cash flow, and it's less appreciable. I don't know about that, because sometimes some condos can just shoot up as well as anything else, especially if you're in the suburban areas. Single family, the easiest to resell, of course, typically surrounded by owner-occupied, properties. So there's more value, even when you're renting it out, there's more value to family wanting to move into that. The only cons you have is only 1 unit to generate income and 100% loss when vacant. So I felt a sting of that lately. A duplex is basically allows you to have 2 people, 2 income coming in, which is, again, some people feel comfortable with this, that, oh, if I get a duplex, if somebody's not paying, the other person is paying, I'm not losing 100% of not pay. I hate to give a horror story. I had a single unit that the tenant didn't pay for almost a year. Yeah, that was thinking. But that's why you do more of these things, so that you still balance yourself out. I was never really out of pocket to meet the mortgages and stuff. Okay. Now the challenges with a duplex, and you can see in a 4plex, is just you're gonna have more managing of people. You have to be really savvy in managing multiple people in a home. Any comments on this, Fernando?
No, I mean, I think you're right. I think you just need to put together a plan and talk to somebody that already owns real estate to kind of just know the pitfalls. I will tell you that, I mean, I've been very lucky. I've only had 1 eviction that I've had to do in 26, 27 years. And I've almost never, I mean, I've never had an issue with vacancies or nothing. Everybody's either very long-term, or they bring me somebody, if they decide to move, that is typically well qualified for that particular unit. And so, other than basic maintenance and repairs, I've never really had any of these quote unquote horror stories or nothing like that. No.
Yeah, that's great. I mean, that's it. But again, if you have enough of it, you won't cry boohoo, even when it does happen. And I find out it's, buying in better areas also help you to have better people occupying the place. Okay. So the thing is to know the value, find the opportunity, and make the deals happen. So knowing what to do, finding those opportunities, and sometimes the opportunity that shows up for you is just what's available for you, and you got to make a decision to take advantage of it or not, right?
I think another thing that's missed, guys, in that finding your opportunity, a lot of times, your first investment might be, it's right there in front of you. You don't even know it. It could be your kids, like they're going to college somewhere, and instead of paying high rent there, maybe you buy something where your kid can rent the rooms, and it could be your first investment property potentially. So a lot of people miss the fact that, hey, my brother is renting, for 10, 15 years and wants to move again and rent. Why not buy a place maybe with your brother? And, and even if he wants to rent, fine, you guys can work it out 90-10 or something in terms of the split of who owns or how much, but it's a win-win. Everybody, at least you own something, and you potentially get in with less money down that way too, potentially.
Yep. Well, it's really guarantee that you have less money down if that person doesn't own a home before. Yeah, it's just looking for opportunities. Like I said, our first investment home, we really stumbled into it. My daughter was going to, she got admitted by UC Riverside. I went there to go look for room for her to rent, and those rooms were expensive. I'm like, whoa,
Yeah.
how much are homes going for around this area? And I find I'm like, you know what, let's go get a home for you. We literally, I remember we were signing loan docs, and my daughter said, Dad, I decided I don't want to go to UC Riverside anymore. I'm going to San Diego. I'm like, are you kidding?
Oh, no.
But it still brought us into that first, because I'm like, okay, we end up running into a really nice family, actually. Which they stay in there for 4 years and maybe even 6 years before they moved, and took very good care of the place. So yeah, it's sometimes it's stumbling into it, but it's having that open mindset to see what you can explore. Most people, you know, we buy the first one and we just stagnant with that. And even though we see the value of that first one creating wealth for us, I mean, all of a sudden you have $200,000 on wealth, $300,000 on wealth, and it's what can we do to upend that? You know, it's the key. Okay, 30-year mortgage, you know, 20% down or more or less. Qualifying issues, your first property, what to expect, and your next property. Okay, so let's stop right here for a minute, because we do have, you know, when people are buying the first one, especially if you own the first one and you want to get a second one, what are the ways you can get that second one?
You asking me?
Yes, sir.
Well, obviously, down payment potentially is more, but once again, like I said before, there are ways to lessen it. If you have a child or something that you know, can help you guys qualify, you can take advantage of that and basically buy with a much lower down payment. That's an example. But yeah, I mean, we just have to run the numbers and see. And also, by the way, guys, when you buy it in an investment property, depending on how we set it up, the rental income that the property produces, you get to use a good percentage of that to help you qualify. So that also potentially helps you qualify in terms of your qualifying ratio.
Yeah, and honestly, in today's world, when you're buying a second property, I say let's find a way we can make it it's going to be owner occupied for you. If you can claim you're going to move into that property, it's going to help you. Where if you had a property for 4 or 5 years and you have 200 plus thousand of equity on it, and if you can make it justifiable where you're moving to that second one, that will make your down payment less. But of course, if you move into a bigger one, then they see that you're growing, and you may have to, you know, so that's when you want to consult with us and find out, is there any way I can get my second property this way or that way, and we can talk about all the availability
All the
ways
angles.
to make that happen. Yeah, especially if your first home is a condo or townhouse and you want to buy a single family the next time, that's is a slam down. You know, you're gonna say you're renting your current place and you're gonna go buy this other one. It's just what can you do to create more wealth? You know, and even if I had somebody that's wanted to buy in Big Bear, and you know, have a child that doesn't have a home, you can buy with that child, and therefore now you're not required to pay like an investor in there. Really, to me right now, paying as an investor, of course, rate is a little higher than normal. And then when you buy as an investor, it will be even higher than normal. So that's the key thing, you know, to finding ways not to pay more than, you know, what you can get away with. Okay. And then we just talk about property management as a self-management, right? Some people, it's not for them to manage tenants, manage people. So you can get a property management. You know, some of them charge you 8% to 10% of the gross rent. You pay it and you don't have to worry about it. You just get your money, you know, in your bank every month, you know, unless somebody else deal with the tenants issues. So those are the things you have to know who you are. Are you the person? And if you want to manage it, please don't had a client that was like, oh my God, she used to manage people, tenants, just check on them like literally every week, going by their house. I'm like, oh my God, that's too much. We need to have you get a manager so you don't do this, you know. So you just got to know who you are, and you can do this thing. Any investment you do, you got to put some time to it, but you don't have to put that much time if it's not who you are to put in time and get too personal with people. Okay, so our next steps. Okay, so any questions? Let me stop the share. Any questions from anyone? I think Ms. Roberta is talking, but you are on mute.
Muted.
Yeah.
Oh, no, I didn't have any questions at the moment.
Okay, thank you. All right. Okay, so let me just ask some questions that I think people will pick up from. So if you want to buy that second house, I'm just, you know, I just got a call earlier on. Somebody that owns a home, I'm assuming in a look like a townhome in a community. If she wants to buy that second home and she's had that townhome for a while, you know, can you tell us what are the different ways she can buy that second home? She will have to put 20% down, 25%
No.
down.
So let's just say you own a condo townhouse that you already have. So basically what you're doing in that case is you're converting your current existing residence into your investment property, and then you're free to buy a primary home again, which potentially could be bought with as little as 3 to 5% down or up from there. So it
okay.
depends on all the
So you
parameters.
can even do FHA on the, you know, let's say you
can,
have
but remember FHA's got some quirks about vacating rent, so but it is possible potentially. Yes.
Okay. All right. Awesome. Okay. Anybody else have any questions? Let's still got some time. All right. So again, this is how to build wealth in real estate, right? That's what the subject matter is. And what we just want to encourage you on is, of course, if you don't have one property, you got to buy that one property. And really, it's a place. A lot of people think of it as, oh, I'm buying a property, which is great, but you have to look at it as you're building a life, a big life for yourself and your family. So your first house is that, and as you do that, and you're taking care of that, and you'll know your equity is growing just by the neighborhood profile, how homes are selling for in your neighborhood, right? And you see that, okay, so now what causes you to think, what can I do to do this again so I can continue to grow my wealth? Just think about it. If you bought a home, especially in the LA County area, and after let's say 4 years, now you have $200,000 in equity on your home. That's $200,000 piece of wealth. If you can then do that again, you just another 4 years, you just got $400,000, right? And so it's finding the way to get that second one. What is it going to take to do it? And yeah, sometimes you have to have a little savings, you know, along the way to do it, because most of us, we just live by whatever our bills are, but we just have to be. And now sometimes what other people do is, if when you build enough equity on your home, maybe you went in it as FHA and you change to conventional or whatever, or maybe you can pull some little money out and still keep your payment low enough. So if you rent it out, the rent will cover it, or maybe you make some extra money from the rent. So now you took a little money out, and now you can use that money for down payment to the second house. Because if you build that wealth that way, now what Fernando was just talking about is you can even buy that other one, or maybe a third one, with a family member, right? It could be your son, it could be the spouse. I've had times when one spouse qualified for home the first time and another spouse qualified for home the second time, and together they buy to, you know, the third time. It's just having those things in mind. I think I had a seminar where what's your game plan that when you exit the workforce, How much do you want coming into you? Is it $10,000 you'd like to have? Because this is gearing you towards what are you going to live? Just like Fernando was talking about his friend that doesn't have to work because he's created a life for himself where the money is coming in, right? So you look at your 30-year world, like, okay, you're gonna have a 30-year mortgage. In this next 30 years, how much wealth do I want to create for myself? So when I do retire, this is what's coming to me. And that could be anything. It could be 10,000, 15, 20. I remember I was in this a session, this beautiful blonde lady was like, she wants 50,000 coming in when she retires. I'm like, holy moly, that's a big life. But you know, it's whatever big life you want to choose for yourself. I'm not even comfortable thinking 50, but you know, give me 20, I'll be okay. You know? So whatever that is for you, you just gotta work towards that. But this is just opening our eyes to say, we can do this. It just take understanding it and taking actions with it. And if we have kids, please don't tell your kids that you're 20 years old or you're 22 years old, you can do anything. No, even if they don't need anything to live in now, they can go buy, if it's a little piece of condo, they can go buy, they can still be staying with you, but they're growing well. So now when they're really ready to move, that property guarantee would have grown their wealth for them.
Well, it's not just that. Also, guys, what people don't realize is, especially if you're able to obtain multiple properties in a portfolio, as you retire, for most Americans, your income goes down because, you know, whether it's a pension or Social Security or maybe, you know, like a 401k that you're going to take small distributions from, typically it's not as high as the income you were making. But for real estate investors, as the years go on, in a lot of cases, they end up making more money because rents are going up. So that's issue one. But the big one is the debts are going down because as you pay off one property, all of a sudden your monthly cash flow just increased dramatically. And then let's just say in another year or two, another one happens to be paid up. And then that, so as you go forward in time, a lot of these real estate investors end up making more money as the years go on because the properties are getting paid.
Yep. So it's really good to see that. If we all can see this, I mean, we're all going to be in an amazing place come retirement age. I don't know what my retirement age is going to be because I still feel pretty youthful now. So, all right. Well, thank you all for coming. Fernando, you've been a gentleman and a scholar. I appreciate you. I know you're very busy and you still make the time for us. So we really do appreciate that.